Okay, hello you beautiful people. Welcome back. Let's do an update on Chainlink's price chart, and as you can see by the drawings, the last time that we talked about this, it was specifically right in here, and this ended up being one of those examples that I got absolutely 100% right. Why? Because in the previous updates, the idea was maybe on a higher degree from this point and not the higher side to about here, we are dealing with an A, B, C running flat, and we argued maybe we are going to have another move on the upside, and at least in a very short time we said hopefully this is going to be a 5-wave up, and then if we get after it a correction structure down, we are going to make new updates, and maybe in here it's going to be time to open a bit of a long position with our stop under the lows. Instead, as you can see, we just got a straight move to the downside. What just happened? There we go. And in it, we just went down and took the lowest low by like the smallest margin, about $7 area. So what is going on in here? You see, if you want to be now optimistic in Chainlink and you want to say that, you know what, maybe we have hit our final low, then okay, in this whole phase to the downside, from the highest high about 8.5 to down here about $7, you need to be able to find a 5-wave on the downside. Specifically, I'm talking about probably a 5-wave impulsive structure. So the question is, are you able to find a 5-wave in here? Well, maybe not. First things first, now I think we have to argue that this is just a correction structure to the upside, either a WXY in form of a double zigzag, or maybe some sort of like an ABC. Again, generally some sort of a correction. The shape of it doesn't really matter a whole lot. Now, here's the thing, I still believe that this is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5-wave down. Now though, I'm gonna say this is a correction to the upside in form of a zigzag as opposed to that 5-wave that we talked about before. And from here moving forward, we can consider two different counts. Scenario number one suggests that you are having a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5-wave down, then correction up, then another 5-wave to the downside. Probably not to about here. I'm gonna say most likely to about this point. And according to this thing, well, okay, we're just having on a higher degree the sub waves for an impulse down, meaning maybe the bottom is in. Right. Here's the thing. There's actually another count suggesting that, well, okay, this could be a 1, 2, but the end of your wave 1 is in here. This is correction for 2, and then another move down into wave 3, correction for 4, another move down into wave 5, excuse me, and on a higher degree, this point about $7 is actually the end of your wave 3, and then the current move that we are having is what? Probably a correction according to this count, meaning what's next? Unfortunately, another move down into wave 5 in Chainlink. So the question is, which scenario is happening? You see, for a very important reason, I actually believe probably this thing right in here suggesting the final low is not really in yet, and that reason comes down to the King BTC itself. Okay, so here's a very important point. In BTC, off of the lows, if you are able to find a 5-wave from here about 58k to up here about 60.5k, then okay, fair enough, maybe the low is. But the problem is, if you go on some seriously lower time frames and zoom in here a bit more, you realize that, yeah, you know what, probably we are just having a 3-wave movement, possibly an ABC. Meaning what? Odds are in BTC, even though right now we are getting some moves on the upside, and maybe this is going to continue in order to get to here about 61.5k, even at that point, we are just going to say, you know what, this is just a correction structure in form of a WXY, basically a complex corrective movement, and after this phase is over, what are we going to have? Well, according to this count, most likely yet another move on the downside in order to take this low for the first target about 58k, but I think we're gonna end up going a little bit lower. For example, I do have a good area of support somewhere between 51 to 53.5, 54k. So who knows, maybe we are going to get possibly from here or maybe a bit higher, something like a 15% move down, and just get to that level and have our final low around that area. Now, if something like that is going to happen, let me ask you this. What do you believe is going to happen to a lot of altcoins? And one of them naturally is going to be Chainlink. I'm gonna say, yep, in most alts, we are going to witness some good moves on the downside, and Chainlink, like it or not, may not necessarily be an exception in that equation. Meaning what? In Chainlink, yeah, this is just, again, a correction into 4, and then we're going to be headed lower in order to take the lows about $7 for the first target and go quite a bit lower. What's going to be a likely target in that case? I'm actually thinking about this very important cluster of support areas, and the reason for why this is such a massive wide range is because, again, it's a cluster from monthly, weekly, and daily time frame at the same time, and I really have a hard time believing that Chainlink is going to go down and get a break of this level, which the lower band of it, again, it's about $5, and the higher band of it is about $6.50. I think the low of this whole move to the downside in the last couple of months, it's going to happen right around these areas, and at the moment, are we there yet? Nope, not really. So makes sense to expect, if we are going to have another move down, for a likely target to be bare minimum around the higher band of this region, about $6.50. But I think we can actually go a little bit lower, maybe somewhere around $6, and that translates to what? About maybe like a 20-15, maybe even like a 25% move down maximum. So in Chainlink, in conclusion, I do think now we should be a little bit pessimistic, and one very key reason for why I want to argue maybe our move down, it's not really over yet, comes down to what is going on in the King BTC itself. And in Bitcoin, I also do think we're going to have a move down. So you know what, let's just right now be overall pessimistic, as long as we're not proven otherwise. When is it going to be that we're going to be proven otherwise? In case we see a very strong bounce back off of this area, and by that, you know what I mean. I'm talking about a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, a strong move without a lot of overlapping of the moves. If I get this thing, you know what, fair enough. At that point, I'm gonna make a new update and tell you, look guys, I got this one absolutely wrong, and maybe the bottom is in. And when we end up getting a correction, a slow and choppy move to the downside, right in here can be a great long opportunity for us. As long as we're not seeing this thing though, nope. I think in a lot of altcoins, including Chainlink, we should be a bit bearish. And I hope I explained everything well and you understood what is going on here in Chainlink's chart. And until the next update, I hope you have a wonderful time. Goodbye.